4 years! It has been 4 whole years since the release of the cultural phenomenon known as Undertale, and with Deltarune Chapter 2 coming about, I think now is as good a time as any to talk about this game. And don't worry, I won't get too mad during this review, but without any more distractions, welcome to my review of Undertale. Undertale is an RPG game created by one man actually, Toby Fox. Much like with Scott Cawthon of Five Nights at Freddy's fame, it was released on September 15th, 2015 for Windows OS X, Linux in 2016, the PlayStation 4 and Vita in 2017, and the Switch in 2018, and was released to critical acclaim. Now, I didn't play Undertale until it got released for the PlayStation 4. That was the one that I played and beaten. I also dabbled with the Vita version a few times, and to this day, I still like it. It's clear that Toby Fox took inspiration from other RPG games, such as the Mother games, more specifically Earthbound, or Mother 2 as it's called in Japan, and the Mario and Luigi RPG games. This game is also known as a bullet hell game, or shoot 'em up, where you have to be as skillful with dodging attacks as possible. Now, according to the Wikipedia article that I did for my research, Fox was also inspired with bullet hells like Tohu Project and the British comedy show known as Mr. Bean. It was originally gonna be a 2-hour long game and was set to be released somewhere around mid 2014, but was delayed until 2015. There's also another game Fox released known as Deltarune, which was released on Halloween of 2018. But with all that out of the way, oh boy, let's get on with the plot. The game takes place in the world known as the Underground, a realm where monsters that were once equal to humans were banished after war broke out. The place was sealed via magic barrier, the only point of entry being Mount Ebbet. A human child known as Frisk, aka our standard mute silent protagonist, falls down and encounters my least favorite sentient thing in this game, Flowey the Flower. Don't let this abomination fool you, he's not friendly in the slightest, but he does help you get accustomed with the control schemes of the game. Of course, like I said, Flowey isn't friendly in the slightest, but Toriel, a motherly goat-like monster, saves you and takes you to her home, where she intends to adopt Frisk, wanting to protect them from King Asgore Dreamer, the ruler of the monsters in the Underground. But you leave Toriel anyway to search for Asgore's castle, which also contains the barrier leading to the surface. Now, it's also here where you also meet several of the iconic and memorable characters, such as the Skeleton Brothers, Sans and Papyrus. Nice little joke there, Toby, having their names be after fonts. We also have Undyne, head of the Royal Guard, Alphys, the Royal Scientist, who is also a big anime fan, and the character that I do have a tolerance for, Minotaur, a robotic television created by Alphys. Now, some of them are fought, with you having the choice to kill them like you would in your standard RPG, but this game also gives you the chance to spare them. Never in my life did I see a game, an RPG no less, to give me the option to let them live. But eventually you do reach Asgore's castle, and the fight that was being built up all that time commences. You win in the end, but you have the choice to spare Asgore or kill him in cold blood. Both choices do end up the same, with Flowey having the 6 human souls to become what I can only describe as the offspring of Cthulhu and Satan. I mean, look at Omega Flowey. This thing isn't made with the standard sprite graphics. This is almost like when Toby used Photoshop to make this hellish creature. But you beat Flabby again, but this is just one out of the 3 endings. Yeah, much like other games like Infamous or Shadow the Hedgehog, or I don't know. The ending depends on what you do, with Omega Flowey being the final boss of the neutral route. If you go on dates, apparently this game took a page out of Koji Igarashi's Tokomeki Memorial and has some dating sim-like gameplay. It's mostly there just for character development. Once you went on dates with Papyrus, you can do that whenever, Undyne, do whenever, and finally Alphys, which you could only do after you beat the neutral route, strangely. After you do all that, it's time to take on Asgore again, but this fight is where things play out a bit differently. Toriel barges in, almost mimicking the opening of the game, but this is later joined with the entire population of the underground. Then Flowey crashes the reunion, and it's here where I'm placing my little spoiler warning. If you, for some reason, didn't play Undertale, click off the video now. You still there? Well, don't say I didn't warn you. Flowey absorbs every single soul from the monsters and turns into Azriel, the son of Toriel and Asgore. And then we have the coolest boss fight ever in the entire game. The boss fight with Azrael Dreamer is definitely what I consider not for people who have epilepsy or suffer from seizures, because this fight is definitely so bright it might even give Sonic Colors a run for its money. And this fight also plays my most favorite soundtrack ever in the whole game, Hopes and Dreams, composed by Toby Fox himself. This is also a very unorthodox fight, where you just have to stay alive until you reach phase 2. And finally, you get the true pacifist ending. While Flowey also tells you to not reset and let things just be the way they are. Nope! Now we have what people say is the most unholy, most monstrous thing any player could do. I'm talking about the Genocide Route. The Genocide Route basically speaks for itself. You have to kill everything in the game. Those characters you grew up to love with, dead. NPCs, stabbed, shot, or bludgeoned. You are almost the equivalent to Dracula when he almost exterminated the human race in Castlevania 3 or Rondo of Blood. But only one monster stands in your way. Sand. You all know that video of Aaron from the Game Grumps cursing at Mario Maker compilation? That basically sums up me, Charai5, and Honest Bigums, as well as many, many others. Because this boss fight is just so hard as trying to beat Castlevania 3 and the adventure blindfolded with one leg tied up your back. This boss fight will, and I mean will, have you almost get to the point of hurling your keyboard or controller through the screen. But you eventually do kill him, kill Asgore, and finally Flowey. Yes! Thank you, Toby, for letting us finally kill this weed. But after some time, another human, sharing the same sprite as Frisk, appears. This is Kara, the very first human who ever fallen down into the underground before the actual events of Undertale takes place. You are given the choice to give your soul to Kara or not. Both of them really don't matter. Most people just go for no, but you're rewarded with a jump scare and the game closes itself. This was also present with the Omega Flowey fight, but it's here where it's creepy and downright unsettling. Wait what feels like for bloody eternity, and you see Kara willing to bring back the world, and congratulations, you have permanently tainted your copy of Undertale. If you do either the neutral or true pacifist routes again, the ending has Kara kill everyone. These are known as the soulless, neutral, and true pacifist routes. Oh boy, this was the longest plot I ever had to try and summarize. But the plot is really great, and I did sneak in compliments of the soundtrack, which you can also download on Steam or the music app on mobile devices. Now, let's get on with the presentation. The presentation of Undertale clearly shows more retro 16-bit style, as if you're playing on an SNES or the Sega Genesis. The game was made with the Game Maker Studio, developed by Yo-Yo Games, and initially released on November 15, 1999. Now, originally, I often thought Toby used the RPG Maker software to make Undertale, so it came as a surprise that Game Maker was the program used for the game, almost as great as the gameplay of Undertale. Hey, how's that for a transition? Gameplay of Undertale? Just your standard turn-based RPG with bullet hell elements, with the Sans fight being the living definition of a bullet hell. The bullet hell aspect of Undertale did inspire YouTube channels such as Merc to try and beat the game without getting hit once, or beat certain bosses without getting hit, which just amazes me that people could try and beat the game with some challenge being tossed in. So the gameplay is really good, but what I associate Undertale the most with is the soundtrack. Soundtrack is downright amazing, okay? From the opening theme to Hopes and Dreams to the meme soundtrack known as Megalovania where you fight stands, the soundtrack is definitely able to get your blood pumped for action. So, with all that being said, can I recommend Undertale for you all? Of course I can! I'm giving this the biggest yes I can muster. This is definitely one of these games you should definitely play before your death kind. I'm giving Undertale the perfect score of a 10 out of 10. Definitely play this. It's really not that expensive at all. It's only $10 on PC, $20 on the Switch, and free for PlayStation 4 and Vita. Now, have you ever played Undertale and enjoyed it? And could you recommend it to a friend? Leave it in the comments below. Follow my social medias, like the video, and subscribe to the channel, as well as turn on that bell for new uploads. I've been Horror Kid, and take care everyone.